All right, everybody, thank you for turning up. So what we want to do today, keep a very brief webinar. We just want to go over the course syllabus, kind of break it down, and a little bit of the back office as well, so you know where to find everything. So let me just go ahead and share my screen. And then Marianne, if you want to just go off my screen, you can, or I can switch it over to yours. So once you're in the back office, after you watch Coach Max's Getting Started video, if you come down here, it'll show you the steps. We're going to be focusing on step 2 today. So, you know, you want to go to Epic University to get to step 2. All right, so let's just go ahead and do that. We'll click here on Epic University. Now, as you see over here, we have the syllabus. We also have it available in Spanish as well. So if you have any Spanish speaking people on your team, just direct them to this syllabus. So go ahead and start it up. All right, so here is the 2-week syllabus. Now, the way Coach Max has laid this out is when you join Epic, within your first 2 weeks or at whatever pace you want, it's scheduled to go 2 weeks. She gives you bite-sized increments so she doesn't overwhelm you with too much information. So it's broken down into 10 days. So week 1 has 5 days, week 2 has 5 days worth of content. You go through it at your own pace. Just go ahead and download this PDF onto your desktop so you have it. Just goes over here. Now it goes over the disclaimer because they're not responsible for any losses you incur in the market. Now, before you enter the Forex market, there's certain things that they want to do. And honestly, at first, I wasn't one of those people that were into daily affirmations until I started reading them, and they actually do make a big deal. And I know people on the team that are very big on not really starting any sessions until they go over daily affirmations. So if you go back into your, back into the university, let me just go right here. If you go to your far right here, it says Forex Affirmations. You want to, try to ingrain a couple of those every day. Let me see if this works. All right. So some of these affirmations are specific to Forex trading. I'm not a signal taker. I create signals. So I mean, that's actually a big one because even though we provide signals at Epic, we want people to eventually analyze those signals and be able to read the markets so they can call signals on their own. And that's what you're going to learn when you go through the university. So, every day go through a couple of these and just try to get ingrained with these affirmations. Now, back to the syllabus. Let's go over here. Okay.
So I actually printed that out and I have it hanging on I have it hanging right here by my desk on my whiteboard.
Okay.
Just so it's always accessible.
Awesome. All right, so week 1, you're going to first start with day 1. You're gonna go through the university. Coach Max is going to welcome you, get to know her very well. She is the director of Forex Trading here. This is the university that her and her coaches have put together. We have market mental psychology. Now, one of the things, before I let some other people chime in here, because this is really important, one thing I learned about trading is that it is mostly psychological. There's a lot of emotions and, mental things that go into trading. Once you get that under wrap, it's like 90% mental and like 10%, actually taking action. Once you learn how to trade, it's fine. But even the best traders still can have a rough day. Marianne, and I can tell you this, sometimes even our educators, they will have rough days, and you have to know as a student how to pick that out because you're taking these trades from these educators, right? Now, if you notice that, hey, that's not the way that they normally trade. They're on they've lost a couple of trades here. You have to know when to back off as well and say, listen, I would rather go back into the university and study some things than sit here taking signals that are not clicking. So what I'm trying to tell you is that the mental psychology, it's not just something that affects new traders. It literally affects veteran traders. I think, Marianne, you had told us that story that Josh told everybody, that even somebody that's an 8-figure trader can have a bad day, correct?
Oh, yeah. It's not 100% for anybody. It doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah, so sometimes we look at these professional traders as untouchable. At the end of the day, they're humans. Things affect their psyche and their days as well. So just consider that when you go through the mental psychology section. And then you go into the Intro to Forex Masterclass. That's another really important one. That's probably why it's one of the longest videos in the section. Coach D, do you have anything that you had learned from the intro to masterclass? Like when you go back and say, this was my first video I watched that was Forex related, was there any takeaways you had?
I'm quite sure there was. Well, of course, I've watched multiple videos, so trying to pick one out. But I know they do touch on some of the basic stuff, like if you have no clue what Forex is at all, you know. But I'll be honest, like when I was watching that, it was more stuff that I didn't understand. So that hindered some of the stuff that I did understand. So I can't tell you I remember exactly from that class, because I've since gone on to other days in the syllabus. So I don't remember exactly what they was talking about in that particular
Right. So,
class.
and it goes back to the idea that we were going over the other day. I think Pamela has also touched on this idea as well, is when we go through a video and we hit on a main point, we want to write down the time in that video where that occurred. Like if you have an aha moment, it's like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. Because
Yeah,
even we'll tell you, as you go through the university, it's hard to go back to week one and remember everything. But if we
yeah,
actually keep a log, we can go back to that video, to that exact time. That way you don't have to watch the whole video again and get that nugget back out. So I would
yeah,
advise anybody that's going through the syllabus, when you have those aha moments, pause the
yeah,
video, write down the time, write down the subject, because what we want to do is within our Facebook group is start to catalog those so people can go back and say, oh, I'm so glad that they wrote that down. That's exactly what I wanted to know about. Saves everybody some time so they can go back. Um,
yeah,
Basic Forex terms. Forex has its own language. There's things that we didn't know when we started that now are like running jokes. Like we can make jokes about them because we know what they mean now that the general public doesn't mean. So just understand Forex has its own language. We didn't know what a pip was. We probably didn't know what retracement was. We didn't know what a pullback was. And all of these are, terms that are kind of ingrained in us now. So just keep in mind that you have to really understand the language. I mean, there was a time where when we would talk about our Forex pairs, I would literally say it, the US dollar versus the Canadian dollar, or the Great British Pound versus the Swiss franc. Now I'll just be like GF. And it's like, what's GF? Well, that's a Great British Pound versus the Swiss franc. We have been doing it for, so long. And I don't want to say so long like that because it's only been a couple of months. But the thing is, when you do repetition every single day, those terms just start coming to you. And now the people on this call, we can have a quick conversation and just say that, look at UJ. And so we know we're talking the US dollar versus the Japanese yen. So just get familiar with the terms. And the reason I say this is because sometimes the signal callers and traders, they'll throw those signals out because remember, they don't have time to type out the US dollar versus the Japanese yen. They need you to come to terms with these Forex terms so you can get those trades in. Because remember, they're executing a trade, then they're putting it on Telegram. In that time between when they set up their trade and you execute their trade, you can lose 5 or 6 pips. Sometimes you can lose more. So that's why, we have to condense our verbiage. Anything you ladies want to add to that part of week one? Nope.
Nope.
Good. All right. All right, so now when we go to day 2, that's what I was kind of speaking about is the currency pairs, okay? So when it comes down to currency pairs, you have your major pairs, which is anything that includes the US dollar, and sometimes the Great British Pound versus the Euro is also considered a major pair because those are, the two next biggest after the US dollar. Anything that does not include the US dollar, but it's one of those other combinations, those are called your minors, and they're also called Forex crosses. All right, so you'll want to get, when you're getting started, Coach Max even recommends don't pick more than 3 pairs. Preferably try to pick one pair. She did UJ, US dollar versus Japanese yen, for her first couple of years. Educator Aaron did the British pound versus the Japanese yen for a few years. You want to really understand how that market works. You want to understand how it breathes, what times it goes up, what times it goes down, because it's just impossible to try to learn 7, 10, 20 different pairs. They all operate different ways. So pick a couple, especially at the times you want to trade. Like, don't be trading right now and then you're trading with the Australian dollar. It doesn't make sense because the Australian market is not open right now. You want to, whatever your trading time is, those are the currency pairs you want to pick. If you're trading right now from the morning until now, you're probably going to pick pairs that include the US dollar. If you're trading overnight into the morning, you're going to do a lot of British pound. If you're doing in the evening, you're starting to do the Australian dollar, the Japanese yen, the New Zealand dollar. So make sure whatever time that you're dedicating to trading, pick pairs that make sense for that time zone. And I don't remember the currency breakdown module. Do you guys remember that one as well? Currency breakdown, what were they going over in that one?
She went over the major pairs, which have the USD in them, right?
Okay.
The minor pairs, exotic pairs, and then that's when you actually, and the base currency versus the quote currency, like the base one is the first one, the quote one's the second pair. When one's stronger, the other one must be weaker, stuff like that. And then the other thing I want to say for day one, Nick, sorry, I forgot, but make sure, scroll up a little bit, make sure you guys are doing the action steps that it says, because you don't want to have to go through these 2 weeks and then go back when they start talking about trading view in one of the other days. You're not going to have it even set up yet. So this is why she did it in this order.
Yeah.
So make sure you're doing the action steps, and it tells you all those right there, right? And the homework, once you get into the actual university part, the actual courses, it'll have homework. Make sure you do those, and make sure you turn those in the way that they tell you to, so you can have them checked. Because the one thing you don't want to do is turn them in and they're, something's not right on them, but you go ahead and you think they're right because you didn't get it checked. Then you're going to think that the whole time, and maybe it's not the right way to do it. So you want one of the educators to check that for you. So make sure you're turning that in.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm sorry, I missed that gray area. It is a gray area, right? So,
very important though to get those done at the time.
Yeah, so just a brief analysis. You'll learn all this in the course. TradingView is the website where we go look at the charts and mark them up and do our research. So TradingView is very important, and you're going to need to create a free account there and take your ID and put it into your Epic back office. Coach Max will walk you through that. Telegram, a lot of you are probably familiar with Telegram. It's a telephone app that you can communicate and chat on. We have a secured line on there where the coaches will give the trade signals, and we have the Epic News Network and also the Trade House where you could turn in your homework and chat with the educators. So those were the action steps over there. Just make sure to go through them one-on-one. As far as the currency breakdown, like it says, action steps, choose 3 pairs. So if you're on this webinar now, you're at home, you're like, Nick, this is the perfect time for me to trade. Probably take the US dollar versus the Japanese yen, the US dollar versus the Canadian, and I don't know, what other pairs are probably moving right now? Probably the US dollar versus, probably the British pound. British pound's still going, right? They probably just ending or just ended?
Yeah.
Okay, so those. And what amount of capital will you risk? That's up to you. When you get into trading, it's not about how much money can I make out of this money. It's how much money am I willing to lose? You have to have that mindset that I'm putting this money into the market and I'm prepared to lose it. Okay. And the reason why is, as you make mistakes, you're going to learn from those mistakes. Now, obviously, we tell everybody to start with a demo account and use, fake money until you get familiar with it. But even if you do fake money for months and months, the minute it turns to real money, the psychology changes, because once you know you actually have something on the line, it's going to change. So make sure when you're doing a demo account, trade the same way as if you would have a real account. Don't start a demo account with 100,000. Like me and Marianne see this all the time, and it blows us away when people start a demo account with $100,000, because you're going to get big results. You're like, oh man, I made $200 on that trade. Then you go put $100 into your regular account. You're like, I made 20 cents. It's the same result. It is what it is. But you're like, how can I only make 20 cents? It's like, because your demo account was more money than you actually have to invest. So keep things very realistic. And if you use like some of the coaches' strategies about trying to earn, 5% a day, it'll scale up. You just have to have a lot of discipline to know that when I've hit my 5% a day, that I'm done for the day. Okay. And that's where people fail. They think they're on a hot streak, they're feeling it. And that 6th trade they do doesn't come through, or that 2nd trade they do, and they lose all their profits for the day. And that's where it goes back to the mindset thing. So yeah. So Coach, do you want to touch on that?
Yeah, it's true. Even when you're testing stuff, because like I took a trade today. Well, no, I didn't take a trade. I called the trade today. you know, just testing out a different strategy. And I won, right? Like, yeah, $100, right? You know what I mean? And then I thought I was on a hot streak. So I went ahead and did another one. How I gonna lose $200? Ah, damn, it's negative now. You know what I'm saying? So that is true. That discipline where it's like you gotta have a plan. You know, we have to establish a plan. Everybody's plan gonna be different, but we have to establish a plan, and then that's the first step. Then once we establish the plan, then we got to follow the plan. I think part of it is that we haven't established, and I'll speak for myself, even, you know, as beginners, we have not yet established that plan yet. You know, we hear the word, but we haven't sat down and said, okay, these are the pairs. I know I changed my pairs or whatever because I was trading the wrong session, because based on what they show us on the image or whatever, it didn't tell the whole story apparently. So I was trading in the wrong session, wondering why I kept getting in ranging. But anyway, you know, it's like, okay, yeah, I got my my pairs. Okay. I got my trade journal, which y'all know I just created.
Mhm.
Oopsie, right? So I got my trade journal, okay, and my pairs match up with the time that I'm actually going to commit to actually trading, you know, not the pair moving at 2 a.m. and I'm up here trying to do something at 5 p.m. ain't working out for me, right? Then it's like, okay, well, what, even down to what days are you going to trade? All right. The most popular days, I don't know if they said it in here, but I found it in research, the days that it moves the most, the Forex market, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Does it mean that you can't trade other days? No, it's up to you, but have a plan. So then have we written down what days am I going to trade, right? Am I going to trade in my account? Whether you test and other stuff or whatever, but whatever, because you can have more than one demo account. Whatever a demo account I'm treating like my real thing, then if I say I'm going to trade Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, if that's what I say, right? Then okay, do that. Do that on those days. You know what I'm saying? So those are just some things that I've learned as far as like helping with the, you know, the mindset helps with that, going through, and I think being more confident on what you're doing also helps with coming up with the actual plan. I haven't gotten to the day yet that shows you how to come up with that plan. So I've just gotten information from different places on the fact that you're supposed to have one, you know, and some of the things that's supposed to be in it, you know, but I could have overlooked that part. It could be in there somewhere and I missed it because it's a lot of information.
Yeah, and
Was
that's
it in there, Marianne? I'm up to week one. I started week one, day 5. Is it in there telling us how to create a trade plan already?
Um, well, Lynn goes over that on week 1, day 5.
Okay,
What
so I
day you
haven't
on?
got to it yet.
Oh, okay.
I
So
just
I think
started day 5, so I haven't watched it
okay.
yet.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
actually called Importance of a Trading Plan and Organization.
okay,
So characteristics of a proper trading plan. I'm looking at my notes here. A
okay,
trading plan, important. Yeah, she really does go into it very well on week 1,
yeah.
day 5.
And what we can do just to make this more consumable for people, we can break this into 2 sections. We could do, you know, week 1 and then week 2. That way it's not, because we're going to be like well over an hour if we
Yeah.
break down the whole thing. So, okay. So now on week 1, day 3, we're going to go into different trading styles. You're going to learn how to differentiate between scalping, which is getting in and out of the market real quick. There's intraday, where you set up a trade where you're going to be in that trade most of the day. You've kind of marked up your weekly and daily charts, and you're like, okay, I've got something good here, and I'm going to set my stop loss where I should be good for the rest of the day. And typically by the end of the day, you're going to decide whether to close that trade out if you're happy, or you know, you might want to let it ride into the next day. Now, when you start letting those trades ride into the next day, you sort of become a swing trader. A swing trader is prepared to let their trades run for days, if not weeks. That's the whole point of the whole swing trade. Those are people that usually do a top-down analysis, looking at the month, the week, the day, and then they set up their trades. So, you know, we have some really good traders on the team that specialize in swing trading. You're also going to learn about the Forex market sessions. Okay, so we have 3 major sessions. There's more sessions, but here at Epic, we focus on 3 sessions, which is the New York session in the morning, which is, I think, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, New York time. And then you have the Tokyo session, about 7, 8 p.m. Eastern time. And about 2 a.m. Eastern time is the London session. Okay, so those are your 3 major sessions. The session that moves the most is the London session. It has the most liquidity and volatility. Now, in the morning, when the London session and the New York session overlap, that is when you're going to have the most money in the markets, the most volatility, the most liquidity. That's really good to make money. But if you don't know what you're doing, that's actually a really good way to lose money too, because there's just so much that's happening. Where they're also going to go over Forex market hours, which hours you should trade and which hours they're open, which hours they're closed. Now, the Forex market in general is open 24 hours a day, 5 days a week, except for 1 hour when the New York session closes and the Japanese session or the Australian session opens. There's about a 1 hour gap there where nothing is happening. They're turning over everything. But aside from that, it is opened 24 hours a day, 5 days a week. When the banks are open, then the markets are open, okay? The only exception to the rule is cryptocurrency. You can also trade cryptocurrency on the weekend, which gives you legitimately 7 days a week where you can earn money. And then there's session breakdowns as well. So as far as the action steps, write down what you think your trading style is. A lot of people are going to start scalping, especially if, you know, Coach Max is teaching and she's putting a lot of influence on the 20 pips and dip indicator, which is the indicator that goes on your trading view account. So it tells you when to buy, when to sell, how to get in and out of the market. That's pretty much built for scalping. So more than likely you're going to start there. But if your long-term goal is, hey, I don't want to sit at the computer for hours trying to make, you know, money here and there. I want to set up a trade that can last me the whole day, if not several days, then you're going to eventually, you know, graduate to intraday and to swing. Now, there's one is not better than the other. It's just scalping is the easiest way for people to kind of get started, because it's just like, you know, riding a bike. You want to keep getting on that bike to learn, right? When you're scalp trading, you can get in and out of the markets. You can press buttons. You can kind of get familiar with what's going on. You do a swing trade, you enter the trade now and you don't check on it for a few hours. You're not really learning as much in the process. So that's why, you know, they would recommend that people start with scalping. All right. So when you get to, oh, did you ladies have anything on day 3 or no? Good. All right. So day 4, what is the spread, margin, equity, and leverage? I'm not going to get too into this because that has to be properly explained. But, you know, when it comes to, you know, the spread, the broker has to make their money too. The broker's not doing it for free. Okay. So when you notice you get into a trade, why does it always start in the negative? Because the broker's trying to make their money up front, right? Then you have to try to get into the positive. You know, leverage is, see, a long time ago, the Forex market was just for the rich people, big banks, hedge funds. So they had the money to invest in the market against each other. We actually need leverage, because if we're starting out with $100, we'll get wiped out in the market if we don't have leverage. So some of these brokers offer, you know, all the way up to, you know, 1 to 500, sometimes even 1 to 1,000, but let's just say 1 to 500 leverage. That means for every dollar you put into the market, you can trade that as if it's $500, which will let you stay in trades a little bit longer. Obviously, you can make money faster. You could also lose money faster. But if you're doing what the educators are telling you to do and following their trade signals, they're professionals. They make money for a living. So if you follow what they're doing, the leverage is going to work out to your favor. We have people on our team that are 7-figure traders and educators. They still use leverage because they're like, you know, it's like, why should I put all my money in the account? It's like, I'll just put the money in the account that I need, use the leverage, and then withdraw at the end of the day. All right. So
Nick, on day 3, I just want to put a little side note in here from Elise. She said the best time to trade is the overlap between London and New York,
right,
which is 8 to 12 p.m. Eastern.
Okay. And
8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern.
Does that change with daylight savings, or is it still the same right now?
You know what's a good question. I don't know.
It might change by, I think it might be 7 to 11 now, but whatever the case may be, when you wake up in the morning, if you wake up at a reasonable hour, you're going to run into the overlap. Okay. Just make sure you're done with that by lunchtime and you should be good.
And you still got to make sure that your pairs are moving during that time as well.
Yeah. Yeah. If you see
it doesn't outweigh that.
Yeah. If you see it's ranging, it's in consolidation, don't try to force anything.
Well, she also, suggested trade cross pairs, which is like one from London and one from New York or something, you know. So like, for example, Euro USD or GBP USD. So
you're catching
during that time, right? You're catching both, and the overlap is very volatile. So there's lots of
during the overlap, you don't really want to trade like GU,
like JPY and all that, right?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Right.
All right. So like what Marianne is saying is that when the overlap is happening, you're hitting both time zones. So don't try to trade US versus the Canadian dollar because that's the same time zone. They have their own special moments, and don't try to trade the British pound versus the euro. This is the time during the overlap that you can trade euro versus USD, or the British pound versus USD, or the Canadian dollar and the British pound, whatever type of mixes you can find. All right. And then as far as exotic pairs, please stay away from exotic pairs until you understand what you're doing. Exotic pairs would be like the US dollar versus the Mexican peso or the Israeli shekel, because what's going to happen is the spreads are going to be so huge on that because they don't get enough action. So if the broker is going to take that action, they're going to want to be paid more. So just be wary of that. There's special times that you can take exotics. If you know that something's happening in Mexico or in India, and they have like some sort of big announcement about their economy, now you can prepare for that because something is going to happen. So if you do your due diligence and you go to forexfactory.com and you study, you might have a good read on, hey, when this announcement happens, I'm pretty sure the market's going to go up or go down. And on those instances, you can make good money with the exotics, but you don't want to stay there at the beginning because they just don't move fast enough and the spreads are too high. All right, so on to back to day 4. Epic will not recommend any brokers to you. They legally cannot do that. You have to go on Google. You have to do your own search for brokers. Just know that if you're going to pick a broker in the United States, you're not going to have as much leverage as if you pick a broker that's overseas, because US regulations are tough. So as I was speaking about, having 1 to 500 leverage, I think in the United States you can only have 1 to 50. So for every $1, you could trade it like $50, but overseas you can trade it, up to like $500. So, just go ahead and do your research and reviews, see what other people are saying, and then pick the broker that makes the most sense to you. All right. As far as platforms, MetaTrader 4 is the platform we use to execute our trades on. So there's an iPhone tutorial for that, an Android tutorial, and then there's also a desktop tutorial. Some people like to trade on their desktop. They like to be able to see more of the screen and see how the market's been moving over a longer period of time. And some people have just perfected how to trade on their phone. But for whatever case, we have all of that laid out. So your action steps would be to download MetaTrader 4, explore your app. You also want to create your demo account, and a demo account is an account that does not have real money in there, but you could trade on the markets as if it was, so you can get a real idea of what would happen if it was your money. And then of course, choose your broker. So MetaTrader 4, you can internally create a demo account. That would not be my recommendation. My recommendation is pick your broker first, and then through your broker, create a demo account. Because if that's a broker you're going to trade with, you want to have their settings and parameters. You don't want to trade on the generic MetaTrader 4 demo and then later pick your broker's demo and it doesn't match up. All right. So, all right. So the final day of week 1. All right. So did anybody wanted to add anything to that? The spreads, the brokers, the apps?
Nope. Just that when he talking about it doesn't match up, because each one will have different prices, so like even when we're taking trade signals, if they're getting numbers from TradingView, right, and we have our numbers in MetaTrader 4, right, the prices are going to be different. I haven't seen them be like huge differences, right, for a single entry, but there are differences. So that makes sense to get your broker first, because your broker is going to have certain prices, because they kind of, I don't know, I'm not going to say manipulate the price, but they have to make their money somehow. So their price for something, let's say it's 1.3124, right, but another platform's price may be 1.3127, for example. So that way you get used to it. I just want to explain that.
All right. And Marianne, were you saying something as well? Or?
Oh, no.
You good? All right. So let's go to week 1, day 5. So we have different order types. Okay. This is where you'll learn what's a market execution versus a pending order, which you'll learn that there's a stop order and there's a limit order. Not going to get into that because that'll take a while. But basically, long story short, there's ways you can enter the market right away. And then there's ways you can enter market when it hits a certain point. So it's like, I don't want to enter right away because I think that the market's going to come back down. When it comes back down, I want to get in at this number. So you can put in a pending order. A lot of the times in the morning, or, you know, when a session starts, you see candles flying all over the place. This is because there's a lot of pending orders from the night before, or, you know, from the session before. So they're waiting. There's a lot of people that maybe with an hour left in a session, I'm not going to trade anymore. I'm done with this session. But when the next session opens up, I have a feeling this is going to happen. So they might put a pending order for when that session starts. You're going to learn about, you know, buying versus selling. So it's interesting, right? Because if you own something, you can sell it, right? And, you know, but how do you sell something that you don't own yet? So that's called shorting. You'll learn that in that section. Again, you're going to go over some more basic Forex terms, maybe a little bit more advanced now that you've had a few days under your belt. You're going to learn the importance of your trading plan and organization. Having a trading plan, having a trade journal, those are really important. The more content I've been going through, every great trader has a trade journal. They write down every single trade they take because they want to see the progress that they're making. And it's almost like having like a journal or a diary about your journey, because this is actually going to be a journey when you start this. So the minute you really get serious about this, start, you know, notating everything, and then you'll go back 30 days later and you'll see how much progress you're made. You know why? Because that trade you take, you can go back into your MetaTrader, you can pull that trade up. There's even softwares where you can do that as well. And you're going to look at that trade, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I made that stupid mistake, because 30 days later you feel completely different about it. So it's very good for your, you know, mental psyche to see the progress that you made. And if you're still making the same mistake, at least you're like, oh my gosh, I made that mistake 2 weeks ago, why am I still making that mistake? That's why, you know, having your plan, your organization, your journal is very important. And then again, trading psychology, I can't speak enough about this because psychology is pretty much everything here. Very little of it is execution. You just have to kind of get out of your own head, and you have to eliminate distractions. You cannot be on Facebook. You cannot be watching TV when you're just getting started trading. I mean, it even throws off advanced traders. So if you're going to treat this like a business and or a job, whatever you want to call it, you want to take it very, very seriously. You want to be in the right element, and you have that right psychology, the right affirmations. And, you know, like we learned from our previous session, sometimes you want to have the right music on. Sometimes the right music will stimulate you to really focus on the market. So whether you're listening to classical or jazz or, you know, lo-fi or, you know, whatever music, you know, that will affect your psychology too. I personally, I can't really work with music, but some people, they have to have music. So the action steps, why do you feel like having a trading plan is important throughout the, so you go ahead and do that action step. All right, so that was week 1.
It actually has 7 days for each week.
Yeah, that's right. There's 7 days now. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue. But video-wise, they have it broken into 5. Wait, hang on. Somebody's.
No, they have it in 7.
Did they?
Yeah.
I think it was originally 5. Maybe it's a 7 now. Okay.
It's 7 now.
Okay, so let's see. Let's go to day 6. Okay, so TradingView, that is the website that you're going to do all of your research on. You're going to mark up your charts. It is an amazing website. Not only is it a great website, their app on the phone is actually really, really nice. I mean, you can mark up your charts on your phone and your tablet just as nicely as on the computer. Very user friendly. You're going to learn about support and resistance. Resistance is like the ceiling of the house, and the support is like the floor of the house. And the market is bouncing between these two areas. So you need to learn how to set your support and resistance throughout the market. And then you're going to learn about the key levels, support and resistance with the key levels, and how to identify those key levels, how to get them marked up, how to set up your trend lines and everything. So this is probably going to be a very important section as far as the technical side of the business. So your action steps: practice using the tools on TradingView, implement 30 minutes of chart time by practicing placing support and resistance horizontal lines. So Marianne, so how much chart time did you put in when you were first getting started?
When I first started, I did put in 30 minutes. Now it's actually more because I'm learning a lot more. But the what I wanted to say about the days, I'm on. Did you do 7 yet? Oh no, you're not on day 7. Sorry. No, but the day 6 is very important because of the TradingView tutorial. You have to know how to use TradingView in order to do, unless you're not going to use that to mark up, which doesn't make sense, but you have to learn how to use the tools in there. And Coach Max goes over that very thoroughly in that first video there on day 6. So do not skip that one.
Yeah, and while
yeah.
you're on, why don't you just go ahead and close it out on day 7, since you were about to say something?
On day 7, yeah, Josh. So the way I did mine was, I had a separate notebook for the university. I literally wrote every single thing down, every slide that they showed, I wrote down. So I took notes on everything. I did like week 1, day 6, and then I would put who did the tutorial, right? I didn't do times, which I should have, but now that you guys, everybody's mentioning that, that's a good idea, on certain things that you want to go back to quickly. But I did.
That when you were journaling it, you didn't put the time frame you were on, or?
Right. Yeah. All my notes have the week and the day, and then all my notes, and then it had who the educator was. Like one of them, I'm not going to mention her name, but one of them, I don't even know what day it was, but it was like, maybe a 4-minute video, and they didn't even show their screen. So I wrote that down here because it would look like.
I know who that is.
Yeah, good. If I look back at my notes and I see there's no notes for that day, I even wrote so-and-so, didn't even share a screen, and there was nothing to write down, or you know what I mean? Just so
I saw that one, so I thought it was just me.
No, yeah. I know people were asking that. Wait, I'm not seeing anything. What, am I missing something?
And
no.
This is a good point, is before we get into market structure, is that along with taking notes of key points and jotting that down, if you see something wrong in the presentation that Coach Max and her team can fix, write that down too and send it to the team. It's like, hey, there's this part of this section that made no sense because I couldn't see anything or whatever. And, when they have time, they can go back and maybe do that section over, because it's very important. You don't want to skip over a section and you're like, I didn't even understand what that section was about, then keep going, because you're going to have to. I mean, Dee would say that, when you don't understand something, you reach out and find somebody that can answer it for you, right?
Yep.
Trying to find that week where it was. I can't find it, but for or what day that was. And I did want to say on the support and resistance, up at day 6, after your chart time, there's homework where you want to identify 3 support and resistance on any pair and highlight them on the chart so you learn to see them. And you want to turn that in because you want to make sure support and resistance is like the basis, right? So if you got that wrong at the very beginning, then that's not a good thing. You want to make sure those are correct, that you're identifying them correct so you can be checked. So make sure you turn those in on day, that may be day 7, actually. Yeah. But just make sure, my thing here is just to make sure you turn in the homework when it says to, because you don't want to continue on if you're doing it wrong the whole time, right? Because you're going to have that in your head, like, oh, I'm doing it right. And you're just going to go on and learn new things, and everything builds on the previous day. So if you have the first thing wrong, then you're just going to keep building on that. So get it checked right away. Sometimes they take a little long. You know what the trick is in Trade House? If they don't answer you, because Coach Max is extremely busy, and I don't think she's in there that much, to be honest. So start tagging other educators. They'll be happy to tell you. It doesn't matter if it was a Coach Max video or a Joshua Rosario video. Tag another educator, and they'll answer you. So you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be that educator. That's what I do. Even though the admins in there will tell you to tag that educator, but if they're not in there and they're not checking it, it took me like 2 weeks to get a homework check at the beginning. So I don't want to wait that long. And I know Coach Max is, she was doing 100 other things. So if she's not checking, then that's just how it works. Yeah. So tag Joshua, or someone that's always in there.
Yeah, don't forget, we also have a Facebook group. We do have some people in there that are advanced traders. Feel free to put your homework in there. And if they see it, they're not obligated to, but a lot of our educators on the team are more than willing to help. So they'll see it.
Yeah, somebody will check it. That's for sure. We didn't have that when I first started, so I was putting them in.
Okay, so day 7 is about market structure. When you're looking at the market as a whole, And, you know, your market structure will be from support to resistance. Whenever support or resistance is broken, you've now broken the market structure. It starts a new market structure. You'll learn more about that as well in there. So again, the action step: implement 30 minutes of chart time, practice your higher highs, higher lows, lower highs, your horizontal lines on your trading view. All right.
That's, sorry, real quick, that's Josh Rosario does that. He does a really good job, super basic, and draws it at, like, literally draws it on the thing. So that's a really good one. Don't skip that one, definitely. Josh does a good job of explaining all that on there.
Awesome. Okay, so that wraps up week 1. We are almost at an hour. So what we'll do next week, we'll do week 2. Another reason I want to do that is that's a lot of information for you to take, right? So if we just keep going, you're not going to remember anything we talked about. So go ahead and over the next week, for those of you that are just getting started, try to get through as much of this as you can. You don't have to get through everything. Go at your own pace. You know, some of you, you know, have full-time jobs and other obligations. Get as far through it as you can. And then next week, we'll start going over week 2 as well. So any closing thoughts for any of the new scholars or anybody going through this video?
Yeah, I wanted to say something. That that going through that syllabus is important. And here's the deal, guys. Here's what I'm realizing, right? Like, it sounds good to try and skip parts and this and that and the third, right? But in reality, then when you start hearing people ask certain things, and then you like, well, damn, that was like in week 1, day 2. So my point is, like, at some point, hopefully at the beginning, but at some point you gotta realize whatever you joined for, right? And this is important because a lot of us might have been network marketers, still are network marketers, this and that and the third, and that's fine. But if you joined to learn the skill set, but then you talking about how you put in a trade and you ain't been back there in the syllabus to do nothing, then how you think you're gonna learn that? Like, coming to these sessions isn't going to teach you what that's teaching you. This is only to highlight certain things and kind of help clear up some stuff if you have questions. Which brings to the next thing. If you bring nothing, you get nothing. I mean, if you come, you don't ask any questions about anything, then nobody knows what to direct you to. Then, you know, what Nick and Marianne are going to do is just, you know, come up with what they think you need, right? If you don't say nothing, they don't know nothing, right? But definitely understanding what you joined for, because, like, it seems like, you know, some people joined on with the idea that they were going to make quick money. Out of our mouth we'll say, oh, we know it doesn't happen overnight, we know it, but then they'll say, but I really need to make some money. I'm going to give you my opinion, and this is my opinion, okay? My opinion, based on, you know, going through this or whatever, and based on being online, period. My opinion is that if you're in a situation where you, quote unquote, need to make money, you might need to get a job or need to pick up more hours, right? Because this ain't that. It just ain't. I mean, the educators tell us, the results are showing us, right? It's not one of them situations where you join and then in 2 weeks, because you flew through the syllabus, right? You didn't understand anything, right? You flew through it just to mark it off, and then you're thinking that somehow you about to hit $1,000 a day, or even $100 a day, right? When you starting on a 0.01 lot size and you still don't know support and resistance because you didn't actually learn it, right? You tried to rush through it because you are like, man, that bill is this and that, right? My opinion is that if you can't afford the education, then you might need to rethink where you're at. And that's just being 100% with you, right? Because if you listen to the other educators and they tell their story about, you know, the time frame it took them, you know, some of them were like, hey, you know, it took them 6 months to start kind of getting something going. Other ones, like, it took them 2 years to kind of like really hit it or whatever. Now, to some people that may seem like a long time. To me, it doesn't. Reason being, because I've been doing this online for 3 years, and they're making some of them at 6, 7, 8, 9 months are making the money I have yet to hit in the online thing. And I done paid way more than 135 or 150 a month, you know. But if you came with that mentality, right, and if you don't switch it up, right, really at least analyze it. This is my opinion. At least analyze that mentality. You're going to keep on doing the same thing, hitting the same roadblocks, wondering why you don't understand where to put in a trade. But then if someone looks and see when the last time you logged in because your sponsor actually can see that stuff. The last time that you logged into your back office, and it's like you logged in like, 3 weeks ago when you joined type situation, but you're talking about where to put in a trade. Like, are you even ready to put in a trade? Like, this is the things that we have to kind of analyze within ourselves, right? As we're going through, and we have to start having these, without being religious, come to Jesus moments, right? And being real with ourselves and saying, hey, we might have joined, thought it was this because they said, oh, we can earn while we learn, but really what we heard was earn. Sometimes you got to be real with yourself, right? So now is the time to evaluate or reevaluate and say, hey, what did I come for? Right? Did you come to learn a skill set that can help you be financially free? Right? Don't just say I came for some money. You can go get a job for some money, just being real, right? Or did you say, well, I came because I want to grow a humongous team, and that's fine. Then focus on growing a humongous team. Then I will tell you my opinion is that, if you don't already know how to grow a humongous team, then once again, you're going to have to learn to do that as well. So no matter if you came to trade or recruit, either one is going to require you to learn if you don't know how to do it. If you don't know how to trade, you got to learn. If you don't know how to recruit, like if you didn't make no sales before, all of a sudden you think you know how to recruit now, you still gonna have to learn is my point. So you're gonna have to learn something, right? So you might as well commit to learning whatever it is, whatever reason you came, but commit to learning that. And understand when we're saying it's not overnight, let's put some numbers to it because people really running over those words, right? In my opinion, I started telling people, I literally told someone this yesterday, I said, in my opinion, you need to be ready to commit to a minimum of a 6 month, of education, right? The minimum of 6 months. The reason why I say that gives them time to, get in, that gives them time to, do the wrong stuff in a sense, meaning thinking that it ain't gonna take me 6 months. We try and buck. It gives them time to buck, and then it gives them time to come back to reality as well, right? Of what's really required, right? Of letting it really sink in when Coach Mack says this is a university, right? Right. Other than we see in the word, right? For it to really sink in, and maybe 2 months down, okay, now it starts to sink in. Now they got 4 months of actual, getting down and dirty. Let's go ahead and learn something. And I personally, my opinion, I don't see a person, if they really hunker down, within that period, of actually learning, that they won't be better off than where they were, in their training. And that's based upon the improvements I've seen in myself in learning, and the improvements I've seen in some of my teammates, like Pam, like Alexis, who she's at work right now, so she's not here, but the improvements I've seen in them in a short amount of time. So it may be a good time for everybody to just kind of, if you need to, right? If you need to, right, to kind of rethink that, because moving forward, as Nick and Marianne are giving these presentations, if all you're thinking in the back of your mind is, man, so when am I make some money? So when am I make some money? So when am I make some money? But yet you didn't do anything in the syllabus. You didn't turn in any homework. Like, everybody can see if you turn in homework, because we all supposed to put it in the thing in the Telegram. You ain't turning no homework. You halfway watching the syllabus, and it shows on the questions that you asking. Like, you're gonna get nothing from nothing. I just wanted to point that out.
No, yeah, just like, for those of you in the corporate world that have jobs, you had to get a resume to get that job, right? There are certain things they saw in the resume. You're back in school now, 6 months from now, if you want to become a professional trader, your resume should say that I know what support and resistance is. I know what Forex pairs are. I know all these things. Right now, you don't know all that. So how can you make money with something you don't know, right? So, and, a 6 month investment here is so cheap compared to actually going to college. In 6 months, if you actually go through with this, you'll 10x whatever your investment is. Because, I mean, I've seen it. I've seen people that have just went to work and went to town. The thing is, a lot of people don't really know what they have here. They're so into, I just want to copy and paste. It's like, why wouldn't you want to become the signal yourself? Because, when you become the signal yourself, you can do so many things. You can start your own service. You can start coaching people. You can start working with younger people and really change their lives. I've seen it. There's some traders on this team. They don't even need to be in this company. They're such good traders. You know why they're here? They've told me they want to change people's lives, period. That's it. They want to be a part of an evolution. And that's what's happening right now. Is Forex trading is becoming this new revolution, evolution, whatever you want to call it, is that it's becoming more mainstream, and people want to be at the forefront of that, even if they don't have to. There are educators could sit at home and make 6 figures a year and not even tell anybody, and nobody would even know. they'd still go out in their blue jeans and their white shirts and their sneakers that are probably 20 years old. You wouldn't even know they make 6 or 7 figures. But the reason that they're here is because they want to educate you. So what I'm trying to say is understand what you have at your fingertips. You're not going to have an opportunity like this. This is like once in a lifetime to be able to learn from 6, 7, and 8-figure traders. And like Marianne will tell you, when we're on the crypto calls with an 8-figure trader that's only like 27 or 28 years old, it blows us away how much this guy knows. It's like, it's amazing. And you're getting all that for $135 a month? I mean, are you serious? It's like he can make that on a call just by giving you a signal. I mean, I've seen it happen. The other day, he gave a US 30 signal, 4,000 pips it's up right now. That was on a market research call. He was just telling about what's going to happen in the market. He looked at the charts. He's like, you know what? Let's go ahead and let's call this signal. That trade might still be going right now. That's how good some of these educators are. Is that?
And I missed it.
Oh, yeah. So let's not talk about the negatives.
I know, really, huh? We'll get the next one, Nick.
Yeah, like I said,
really quick, though, I just wanted to say something. I totally agree with everything that both of you guys just said. This is not an overnight learning curve. There's no way. I mean, I didn't even know what Forex was I didn't even know what it stood for when I first started a few months ago. No clue, right? But when I look back now, it's like, and where I am now, even though, you know, I'm not making $1,000 a day, okay, I didn't expect to at this point, but it's amazing just where we've come just in the last few months, just because we plugged in and we went through the university, we did what we're supposed to do. It's amazing just the progress, right? I mean, Dee, you could probably say the same thing, right? Just in the last month or so for you, right? I mean, where you've come, right? It's amazing. You just have to do it. And it's like any other, I mean, you don't start a new job, knowing everything the first day. You have to be taught it, you have to study it, and you have to learn it. You do it every day, and that's how you get better. And the other thing I wanted to say was, don't compare yourself to 6, 7, and 8-figure earners. I mean, they didn't just start in October, like, you know what I mean, or September, like we did. They've been doing this for years. They've been learning different strategies. They found what works for them. They mastered it, but it wasn't overnight. It wasn't in a week or a month or even a year for some of them. It's been several years, and we will get there. We're at the starting point, right? So there's no reason to rush it. It's a learning experience. We have to take it day by day, but just do something every day. Learn something every day, right? Just like we had Michael's great new strategy this morning, right before this call, right? So try that one on your demo, see how you like it, right? The other thing, Nick, going back to the syllabus, when you had it on your screen, I know it's weird, but a lot of people think that's the actual university where you click on those arrows and stuff. Those aren't the videos, right? That's just the outline of what is in the university. So you actually have to go, and actually if you scroll down through that syllabus, there's a lot more stuff in there. But yeah, you actually have to go into the university and go through each video on the side, and then, you know, mark it complete as you go. And I'll tell you guys right now, I'm being totally honest, the only one I skipped was how to set your MetaTrader 4 up in an Android, because I have an iPhone. So why would I need the Android one? But I didn't, right? And Dee, you probably skipped the iPhone one because you have an Android.
The iPhone one and the Mac.
Yeah. I actually watched both because people are still going to come to us and say,
did you? Well, that's true. That's a good point. But yeah, I'm like, yeah, I'll figure that one out later. But I have an iPhone. I need to know what I need to do.
If they come and if I have an Android and they come like, how do I set up an iPhone? I'm literally gonna tell them, like, watch in the back office.
Right.
Like, exactly. I'm not gonna go, like, I'm just being real. There's so much more to learn that I'm not gonna go try and make a side video on a device that I don't even own when they already made a video for them.
I think
those were added in. Yeah, I don't think those were original. But anyway, so you have to actually go into, like Nick just did. And basics 1 is what, the first week, basics 2 is the second week.
Yeah.
They're broken down now. There's a ton of all the study halls are in there.
While we're here, you know, you have all of these too. You have your study halls where you can go over different topics from different coaches. Okay.
Yeah.
If you want Jeffrey sessions, you can go into the crypto section. These are amazing.
As beginners, they told us not to do crypto.
What's that?
As beginners, they told us not to do crypto.
Oh, no, I'm just showing people where everything is. If you want to do JoJo's Market Maker, it's over here. If you want, I think Tokyo Pips is the honor section, right? Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
but like just start with basics 1 and 2. After you're done with that, maybe intro to Forex, study hall. Oh, and then Coach Max said she wants newbies to go through her mindset stuff. That's really important, her mindset classes. And then for a study hall, like I said, where did she remove it? Where's the?
Have you went through anything?
This is
All
not,
your stuff is locked.
this is not my account.
You sure?
Yeah,
Ah,
it's a dummy account.
what are you looking for, Nick?
September 28th, 20 pips and dip is gone.
Oh,
Hmm.
maybe where would she have moved that to?
I don't know.
Coach Max, maybe look under Coach Max.
Oh yeah, maybe that would
Maybe
make
she
sense.
moved it.
Oh yeah, there it is. She has her own section now.
Yeah.
Oh,
So there
okay,
you go. It's got her
good.
own study halls and pip and dip and
Oh,
all.
look.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
Compound sheet. Oh my God, I haven't even seen this. I hate
Yeah,
to admit
they
that.
moved
No,
it
she
up a
said
lot.
on her
This is
last
great.
study hall. No, this is might be why it's different. She said on her last study hall she did with Jabril last week. She said by the end of next week, which is the end of this week, she said that they were coming out with she was coming out with her updated 20 pip and dip. So that may be
Oh,
the beginning
nice.
of her
Okay.
restructuring. That may be the
Nice.
beginning of
Yeah.
the beginning of it.
Because that
Definitely.
wasn't, she didn't have her own section before.
Perfect.
Right,
That's-
right. It didn't have their own section, and it
that's
didn't
good.
actually tell us a strategy for it. I had to go on YouTube and look at Michael's video to actually get a strategy for 20 pip and dip. So
Yeah.
this looks like it is about to solve that problem. That's
Yeah,
what it looks
yeah.
like.
Cool. So yeah, that's a lot more
Okay.
organized. But the last thing I wanted to say is the worst thing for me is when somebody quits that I saw a lot of potential in. Like I knew that they could be a good trader and they just never took the time to apply anything. They didn't show up to any of the calls. And it's like, wow, that it's such a missed opportunity because there's people out there that could be really good at this. And then you have people that try really hard. Like they've been here for months. They attend every class and it's coming hard to them, but they don't give up, right? Then you have people that actually have like natural talent. They have like technical analysis and they just don't even apply themselves. So, my thing is it's not for everybody. It's unfortunate, but the thing is it's there. It's there to take you from a brand newbie to somebody that actually knows what they're doing. So next week we will dive into week 2 and start breaking that down. If you have any questions, just post it in the Team Momentum Facebook group, and I'll have this recording up there later tonight. All right. Anything else, ladies?
I just want to say,
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Pam. I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say I am so thankful for this group and each and every one of you because based on that has been a big help to me. And I do go back, do my studying, make my mistakes, try to figure it out. And I go through that. Dee's been with me a while. She knows. Sometimes it takes me a little while to process things, but I have a great group of people that I can go to, and Coach Max information, the training. I am just thrilled. I'm thrilled to be here. So I may show up and not say anything because sometimes I might mess someone else up, but I am here. I am here.
Yay, we're so
And
happy
thank
you're here.
you. Thank you so
We're
much.
glad
That's
to have
awesome.
you. You're
Oh.
doing very well, by the way.
Thank
Pam.
you.
You are.
So the others, and notice, Dia, one of the reasons why is because she's always plugged in,
Yes,
right?
yes,
She's on
yep.
every call. I don't
Yeah.
care what it is. She's on every call, and that's it. That's the
And
whole
we
thing.
we noticed that too.
Yeah.
I don't try and police people, but I have always been the type of person to offer, additional help to those who are helping themselves.
Right, exactly.
You
If
know
you
what I
don't
mean?
show
That's why
up,
I'm like,
but you ask
Pam, this
tons of
video
questions.
came out to help explain this. It's over here. I like messenger one-on-one because she coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was gonna say
Go ahead.
homework. Yeah, homework. All right, but it's easy, but homework. Everybody post in a Facebook group and let us know where you're at in the syllabus. If you're on week 1, day 1, say it, right? It's not about laughing or whatever. It's about us helping each other be accountable in a sense, right? So it's like if you post you on week 1, day 1 today after today's meeting, and then next week gonna have the same homework, y'all. I'm just letting y'all know, right? Nick may add something else, but that's gonna be on it, I'm telling you, right? And then next week you post you on week 1, day 1, right? Yeah, I'm gonna be on my screen looking like,
What happened
I'm
this
being
week?
real with you, right?
Mhm.
I mean, it's either you is or you ain't. I mean,
Right.
unless you're recruiting, and that's cool. That's wonderful, right? That you do what you do. But if you're the one up there, when I like be having my sessions on Saturday, and you're like, well, I don't understand this, and I don't understand that. But like, you literally still on week 1 day. What, like, did you try?
Yeah.
Did you try?
And the other thing is, in the group or even on these calls, don't be afraid to ask any question. There are literally, it doesn't matter what it is. If you think it's a stupid question, there isn't any stupid questions in here, because we're all the same place. We've all started somewhere, and we will answer it. It doesn't matter what it is.
And maybe coming up here soon, maybe Marianne or Coach D or myself, we might just do pop-up Zooms, like no announcement, like Q&A. You know, it's like if you guys want to discuss something, because the thing is,
I already do them too. I already do them. I didn't tell Nick about
because the thing is, we can't individually answer every question when it can benefit other people. We'll be like, you know, I'm going to do a call in a couple hours. Why don't you jump on? Let's go ahead and get that recorded so we can help some other people out.
Sometimes those kind of calls, you get a lot more people to attend than when you plan it.
Yep.
Which is weird.
Yeah. And then the other thing is, for people, they're like, oh, well, you know, you guys talk about all the people that make the live calls and give them kudos, but I'm actually watching the recordings. Okay. If you're watching the recordings, I know that Michael, Coach D, and myself would appreciate if you like and comment, because it helps our engagement. And then we know you actually watched it. You know, so, you know, if you guys can do that as well, that'd be awesome. So yeah, because we understand not people are at work right now, but if you watch the recording later, just drop a little like and a comment so we know that you watched it. It helps us. It helps everybody.
Cool. And hashtag replay
and still do the homework.
Yeah, still do
I have to, I call myself doing the homework, but I didn't know what to do with it, but I'll go back and do that. Yeah. So I'll check my, you said Telegram, they'll show you that tells you where to send the homework.
Well, Marian, was it on one of those videos? I'm trying to remember if I had to ask Nick, or was it on one of the videos? I don't remember.
Well, it was what I did was I put it in Trade House, in Epic Trade House Telegram group. And I have to confirm this, but I think there's a new system now, an easier one, because Trade House is just, 20,000 people in there. So your homework gets lost in there, especially if you don't tag it right, or at all. So I think they came up with a solution for that, but off the top of my head, I don't remember what it is. I think there's a special email or something where you're gonna submit your homework now.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so let me find that out and I'll post that in the group.
Okay.
Okay.
That'll help.
Yeah.
Me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But other than that,
cool. Well,
I'm gonna go eat lunch now. So.
Well, thank you, everybody, for coming. I'll get this recording up tonight, and I will talk to you all next week.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.